In New York was a very strange place. They brought them to the Mulberry District for the most part. They spread out to places like East Harlem and to Brooklyn later on. But the Mulberry District was one of the most despicable places in the city. It was originally habitated by some of the wealthiest people, but later on, as different migrations took place, it became the home place of mostly the Irish and the African Americans. Before the Italians came, that area was one of the filthiest and most crime-infested areas of New York. There was an apartment house called the Brewery, all right, which was once a brewery. But the brewery basically had one murder a night for 15 years. Now, of course, the notion that the Italians and the Southern Italians brought criminality to North America is patently absurd. All right? New York was a cesspool, all right, of crime. Murders, rapes, and practically every kind of activity. What needs to be understood is that at this time in New York, we have what we would call Tammany Hall or machine politics. And the way the machine politics worked in New York was that each group had a segment of the population, whether it was ethnic groups or gangs. Matter of fact, there were 30,000 thieves that were licensed in New York. And what did that mean? Well, that you paid Tammany Hall. And by paying Tammany Hall, you would be given a territory. And in that territory, you could rob, you could steal, and you would never have any consequences. All right? There were 400 brothels, all right, in New York City. To own a brothel required $30,000. All right? Now, one would have to conclude that there was so much business that the $30,000 was a very wise investment. All right? To become a police chief required $15,000. Now, what's the point we're trying to make here? All right? New York City was a city for sale. Every job that you wanted, right, could be purchased. And the jobs that you'd want, whether you were dealing in gambling, in prostitution, all right, if you're dealing in any of the illegal trades, what we used to call the rings of Tammany Hall, these rings were all on a cash basis. If someone violated the law, the district attorney, the police were part of that political corruption. So what happens to the Italians when they come here? Well, certainly one of the things that they realize is that the individuals who get justice are those individuals who are organized. Many young Italians join existing gangs. They join gangs that were previously or continually led by Irish, by Scottish, by British, by Jewish groups. The idea that politics in New York was anything but ultimately corrupt, all right, until one reflects on that and understands that this corruption was so embedded that no matter who stole from you, who raped you, who killed you, there was no place to go to. All right? If you represented a group that could provide money to the political establishment, you somehow got your share. This is the kind of political cesspool that existed in New York. And what happened is that this cesspool existed in many of the major cities throughout the United States. Boston, Jersey City, Chicago, Denver, New Orleans.